Okay, I guess to kind of start with content, I was like inspired to write a song that felt a little bit more like happy because I feel like I am prone to like writing songs that feel a bit more like not like dark but like sad, I guess. I don't know. They're just like not always the happiest of songs. So I really wanted to write a song that like was like it still like has kind of like this slight like especially at the beginning because I'm like talking about not being happy with what I had before or not being stable in like the way that I had my content and enjoyed it. Um so like it was in the beginning you'll kind of feel like it's a little bit like, "Ugh, I'm mad at myself." But as it continues, like it definitely feels better. It doesn't feel as like sad as my other songs. Anyway, okay, so here we go. Here we get started. Damn, that shit really sucked back when I thought I really did something. So I guess to like talk about those two lines specifically, I was mostly when I wrote it, I was mostly thinking about the time when I when I did like the whole album debut and stuff like that. At the time I felt like I was doing something that was like, oh, this is like gonna be like different than like more unique and like I don't know, like people might be excited about this like as much as I'm excited about it. And so like I really felt like I was doing something that was like I don't want to say like brand speaking new, but I guess I would more rather say a little bit more rare um than what you would normally see in like this community, at least as far as like the I guess medium sized streaming community to smaller to medium sized streaming community. I don't know if that makes any sense. And I'm not trying to put anyone down, by the way, by like bracketing what type of or area you're at in your streaming career. But I just wanted to mention because like obviously whole live people have like album debuts and stuff like that, like Maury. But like it's a little bit different. They have like a whole like corporation and agency backing them, so like it's a slight bit different. Um, so I really felt like I was doing something that was like cool, and like I had gotten like the models, I had like revamped the entire stream, and did the album release. And I think in hindsight, I should have just broken it all up. I shouldn't have tried to do it all at once. And like at the time, I thought that I was going to like be able to grab more attention and like bring more people to the stream by having and hyping up the album by having like these models, the new outfits and stuff like that. Boy was I wrong. Like I mentioned, I learned that like people that are in VTubing pretty much only care about VTubing things that are related to VTubing specifically. I'm not saying that music is not related to VTubing, but you can definitely, I mean, if anyone does this or decides to do this, you can tell that your audience that listens to your music is always going to be different than the audience that watched your stream. And that's just inherently how it is. You can't expect them to be exactly the same or to cross over. Obviously, there is a little bit, but like for the most part, people who listen to my music are listening to my music. You know what I mean? They're not necessarily like, oh, I need to go catch a Kōri stream, and that's okay, But it was something that I had to learn, and I had very like false expectations for, and I feel a little bit silly for thinking that way. But I'm glad that like I learned from it, and I'm in a better place now because I know like better to expect differently, if that makes any sense. So yeah, and I was a little bit upset during that time when I realized that like I just kind of had felt like a lot of my time was wasted. I guess that's what I mean. Um, with like all of the album stuff. So that's what those two lines are referring to. It's a lot of like frustration with like, damn, I really thought I was like doing something cool, and it really wasn't. Not that it wasn't. I guess it's more like it didn't garnish the kind of like attention that I was hoping that it would. I guess that makes any sense. Okay. Next up. But now I can see I'm changing, I'm growing, I'm blossoming. And then I guess these like lines are pretty self-explanatory. where I'm saying like what I just said, basically I feel like I learned a lot from that experience, and that like I'm glad that I was able to learn from it and grow, and like not, I don't know, I just feel like it's great that like now I can't, I just feel so much more confident in like the things that like I will be doing moving forward. It's pretty much what I'm saying there. So yeah. I freaking okay. I like really love those lines because one, it's like it's like a, it's a callback to Lurk, which I thought was cute. I don't know, just maybe it's just me. I just thought it was funny. Anyway, but let's see. This line is pretty huge to me because like I think there were several times when I was told like, hey, you're working really hard, like, you know, make sure you take care of yourself. And I never felt that way though. And like I appreciate the people that told me like that I work hard, but like there's many moments where I didn't feel like I was. I feel like I wasn't working hard enough. And I think a lot of people can ring true to this statement, to this line, because you know a lot of people that don't stream or have never done it before don't realize how much work has to go into streaming. Like, you know, obviously it's a lot of like setup, a lot of like, you know, just setting up all of the behind the scenes stuff and whatnot, and that's never fun. But like there's a lot of like, you know, networking. There was the whatever else aesthetics that you want on your stream. There's the lore. There's like actually, you know, streaming and talking with the chat. You know, just being able to do all those things is like really difficult. And on top of that, you know, having to deal with your own personal things, or you know, working a job and whatnot. Like it's really easy to feel like I'm working so hard, but I'm not working hard enough because like it's not showing. Like I'm not getting what I am expecting or like what I want. But it's like you are working hard, and it's just something that like I think streaming is something that like comes. It just grows really slowly because of just like the inherent nature of like how people who watch streams are. You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of like what I was trying to touch on here, and to remind people to like, hey, you're working hard and you shouldn't like discredit yourself. Also, I'm so sorry if you hear fucking noises. Of course, it's happening now. Like when I actually start doing the song explanation, right? All right, let me continue. And I guess like I'm sorry I didn't talk about that line, but the the part that too easy to let those comments just lurk, I mentioned it a couple times on stream, but after I released the album, I like got a lot of really nasty like DMs and comments and stuff like that from people who were just like, why the fuck are you doing music kind of shit. And like obviously it's like, oh, it's easy to be like, yeah, fuck that. You know, like, oh, they're just hating, you know what I mean? But it definitely was like a little bit frustrating on top of the other things that were going on when the album dropped. So it was like you know, again, it's just like, yeah, obviously you can say like just brush off those comments, they're just being haters, but like it's hard to like sometimes it's hard to not let it get to you, right? So yeah, that's what that's about. Fuck it, I won't be a puppet. I will not be lumped in with those who just fake it. I don't know if I should like keep. I don't know if I should do the whole. Let me do the whole thing. Don't need that engagement because my entertainment is not a containment. And to my amazement. Okay, so I guess to kind of like, I don't even know how to start. Like, there's so much text here. Okay, fuck it, I won't be a puppet. Yes, fucking loved it. Anyway, yeah, I what I meant by like not being a puppet is just being like I don't want to be just a literally a puppet. Like I don't want to be someone who follows like what all these other people's are doing, and like I want to be true to myself and not have like strings attached to like my every movement. I just want to be happy. I just want to enjoy myself because I feel like when, you know, sometimes like I felt like my every move was like attached to something, like, oh, I need to make sure that I do this so that way like this happens. You know what I mean? It's like, ah, It's not like I wish I wasn't thinking that way. You know what I mean? Like I shouldn't be thinking that way, because really it should be like, I want to do this because it makes me happy. It shouldn't be like, I need to do this in order for this to happen so that way I can grow. Like, it should just be like, just do what makes you happy, Kōri, because that's what matters. That's what's important. You know what I mean? And then to continue on, I will not be lumped in with those who just fake it. Don't need that engagement. So that's kind of like literally, I don't know if you guys have seen it. I'm sure you have, but like all over fucking Twitter, social media, there's always these engagement posts, like, you know, clickbait engagement posts that like drive me fucking nuts. And like I don't care if you do it. I don't think it's like necessarily, depending on like how you do it, I don't think it's like a bad thing necessarily. But like I see a lot of like VTubers, like indie VTubers that like are trying to get big. All they do is like post these really fake engagement posts, like, I'm looking for friends. I'm not saying that they all sound like that, but as an example, they're like, oh, looking for friends post, and comment below if you want to be friends, like, you know, stuff like that. And like I think what frustrates me is that like all that that's doing is like baiting a bunch of people to try and like follow them and like interact with them. And it's very like it's very like frustrating to like see that kind of stuff, because like I literally see so many people grow because that's all they do. It's like every other day they post a post that's literally just trying to get engagement. And like it's so, I don't think it's a bad thing if people necessarily like, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing if people like fall for it per se and they engage with it. But I just think it's really sad that like that's kind of just become the culture. Like if you want to be big, it feels like you have to do these things. Like you have to bait engagement, and like I just don't think that's right. That's not how like I would like to be. I don't want to be that type of creator, I guess. So yeah, and amongst other things too, like the whole like with those who just fake it line is very like, I've seen so many people that literally just put on a fucking face for stream, and off of stream they're like absolutely crazy. And like I never ever will expect anyone to be exactly as they are on stream off stream. That's just like a really dumb expectation to have in the first place. But I think just like common decency, you know, just like being a decent, respectable human being is not that much to ask for, but you'd be surprised. People will really act like they are, you know, these really kind people on stream, and then off stream they're like, oh no, you need to bow down to me. You're my servant, and this you're just in my world. You know what I mean? Like very big egos. Yeah, and I just think it's just so like disingenuous, and like I don't like that. If you like talk with me off stream, you will probably find that like I am extremely introverted and like not as like energetic and crazy as Kōri is on stream, but like I'm still like me, you know, like I'm not going to be like, oh, you're a bitch, you know what I mean? Or anything like that, you know. So yeah. Anyway, that's that. Continuing on. Because my entertainment is not a containment into my amazement. Okay, yeah, sorry. Now it looks this it is what it is. Because my entertainment is not a containment, and I think that I like that line a lot. Obviously, I wrote the song. Like, shut the fuck up, Kōri. But anyway, like I like that line, those two lines a lot, because I definitely felt like as I mentioned previously, I definitely felt like I was being forced in some way. Like I was forcing myself to like do things that I thought would garnish like growth on like the channels and whatnot. But it's like, why was I doing that? You know, it's like I should just enjoy what I enjoy. Like just do it. Just do whatever the fuck makes me happy. And it definitely feels like looking back on the song, it's really nice to look back on it now, because like I don't think I said this on stream yet ever. So yeah, this is weird to say, but like about a month ago when I came back from my break, that first stream back was really difficult for me, and after that stream I literally like had a very serious like night where I was like, do I quit VTubing? Because I realized that I was not happy, and that like nothing that I thought about with VTubing was making me happy. It all felt like very like I don't know, just I just didn't want to do it. Like now that I have moved past that, I realized that it was just like really bad, terrible burnout because like even during my so-called break from streaming, I was working on VTubing stuff and like really I should have fucking taken a step back. Like I should not have worked on stuff because like when I came back, I wasn't on a fucking break. I never went on a break. I just kept working on VTubing stuff. So I didn't get that step back that I needed. So I seriously had considered quitting VTubing, and because I didn't want to feel like I was contained by my VTubing persona and just VTubing in general. So yeah, that's something that happened. But in general, it's like I want to keep doing things that make me happy. And I can definitely say that like now that I've kind of had that revelation again, since that night, I've been able to like kind of take a step back, rethink things, and move forward in a different light. And I definitely feel happier. So I'm not like suffering and I'm not like having those thoughts anymore about like quitting VTubing per se, but like it's definitely different now. And I think like a lot of people now can kind of see that there is a difference in like the way that I'm handling streams now. I mean, it's pretty obvious, but like I don't know. It's interesting the way that people's like content changes and stuff like that. Also, sorry, I was rubbing my arm against the desk. Sorry. Okay. And the part that leads into the like bridge, and to my amazement, which is like I realized this realization that like when I do things that I enjoy, it just obviously like it feels better, one, but two, like I think people, especially like, and this isn't to put down any other communities, but I think especially like my community is full of good people that I think can tell that, you know, like we like to have just like chatting and just hanging out, you know what I mean? And it's really nice to have a community that I think supports like me as a creator, because the other problem with being like a variety streamer is that like it's so much harder to grow because then you have to have like a good personality, and like, you know, like people have to be there for you more than like for the games that you play, because you're a variety streamer, you do so much shit. And so like I think I'm just really thankful that like, and honestly amazed by the fact that like I still have people supporting me, even though like I feel like I'm constantly adjusting and changing my content, and that's to be expected of any streamer, I'm sure. But like I guess it just amazes me that like people still stick around and like support me despite all the changes that I go through. So I really appreciate that. Anyway, moving forward. Also, so what that means is went from hanpanai, and that's a basically translation. It's a bad situation, a really crazy situation, essentially. That's what that means. So I went from a really crazy situation to and then what that means is it's just it sounds like don't mind, and that's kind of like what it is, but not really. Like it's more of like a slang. But like it's basically like to put it's not exactly this, but it's kind of like it's okay, you know, like don't worry about it, like let's just keep moving forward kind of thing. So that's what that means. Yeah. And so I'm literally saying that I went from like a really shitty place to like a better place. So that's what I'm saying there, and it's true, because like I was able to, you know, bring myself back up from like the crash that had happened during like right after the album debuted, and actually be happy with like the things that I was doing. So, and not feel like forced to do things as well, because I semi kind of felt like I was being forced at some points by myself, not by anybody else, but myself. But I felt like from just like all of the media that I was like, all the media that I was reading and consuming made me feel like I had to do like the only way to do this is the way that so and so did this. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of like the mindset that I was in, which is like really trashy. You should just do things the way that you want to do it, as long as it's not hurting anybody, obviously. But yeah, anyway. It's funny because like I just looking at a behind the scenes thing. I was like really on the fence about keeping that background. I don't know if you guys can hear it. Well, I'm sure you guys can, but like in the background, you can hear like an ad lib where I'm like, now my content goes right. I'm not sorry. That's a really bad regurgitation of that. But like yeah, like I was like really on the fence about keeping that in or not, and I ended up keeping it in. But like yeah, I went back and forth like several times. Anyway, okay. I love what I craft, would never go back. I don't mean to brag, but I'm finally content with my content. Isn't that nice? I like that. Obviously, I like the song. I'm sorry. But yeah, like being able to say that, like I love what I was doing, and like I don't want to go back to that mindset. I just want to like do things that I continue to enjoy, and I can finally be happy with my content with my content. So I think that's really cool. And it was nice to be able to feel those things. I know it feels a little bit like maybe contradictory because I have also just recently talked about how I was not happy. But I think again it's just like those ups and downs that you have with like something as you know delicate almost as like VTubing and streaming and entertainment. It's things are constantly changing, and it's okay to at one point feel like you're at your high, and then another point feel like you're at your low. I think it's completely natural. And overall, still like I have always tried to keep this in mind. Like I need to just be focused on like what I enjoy doing. Which is again why I had that moment where I was like, do I quit VTubing because I'm not enjoying what I'm doing anymore, you know? And it's better to like actually consider quitting than to keep doing something that like you're not happy with. Cause like you need to have some like self-respect for yourself and like care for yourself as well. If you're not happy doing it, if you feel like you're just forcing it, I think your audience would be able to tell eventually, at least. So anyway, moving on. So I wanted to add this part that was again because I knew that I was going to be releasing this for like my 1 year, and I wanted to kind of like throw in like a little bit of like a mention of like chat, which is like how much I appreciate the people that are still around, how much I appreciate you guys coming to the stream, supporting the stream. It really means so much to me, and it's something that like I've said this several times before, but I'll say it again. Like no matter if I like it or not, like you guys have left your imprint on my life, and I know that like it's going to be with me the rest of my life. So it's something that I don't think I'll ever forget this experience. I know that I'll never will. And the fact that I can share something that I enjoy with other people and hopefully make them smile, even as corny as that sounds, it means a lot to me, and I sincerely appreciate it. So thank you. And I really want to make sure that I had a line in here that was like, pointing to chat and my appreciation for the support despite the ups and downs that I had. So, yeah, anyway. So this part, the kind of like, let me see. Okay, I'll always be me, this I guarantee. I wrote this decree, my content will be a symphony. Kind of just like literally, the wrote this decree part is literally about like the song. Like me writing this song is like, and the symphony part of it too is like, this is a song that like I hold dear to my heart, that I want to try to remember as I go through VTubing, that like, this is like what I need to stand by, I think, moving forward. And that's what I'm saying here. So this was almost like a note to myself, which is kind of funny. Anyway, like now that I'm looking at it now, like I don't know, this is a little bit interesting. Anyway. Oh! yeah, okay, so no longer mystery is pretty straightforward. Like, I no longer am like, what do I do with my content? You know, like, I'm like, yeah, let's freaking do this. I know what I'm doing, yay! Living life blissfully, you know, doing the stuff that I want to enjoy doing and having fun. No one can take from me. And it's true. No one can take from you what you enjoy. If you enjoy it, fuck yeah, do that shit. You know what I mean? Keep doing what you love to do. As long as it's not hurting anybody, obviously, you know? But yeah, keep doing what you enjoy, and no one can take away. No one should be able to take away your happiness. Like, no weird marketing ploy, no weird, you know, crazy people on the VTubing scene. Nobody like telling you what to do. Like, no, like just do what makes you happy. Cause like I guarantee that as you do with things that make you happy, like people will come and see like that genuine side of you and also be genuinely excited and share that happiness. And I think that's more important than like, you know, falling in line with like what everybody else is doing. So, because I also wanted to mention that like when I got into VTubing, I literally knew, obviously like most people, I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything. I did all of my research. I didn't even know that like I didn't know anything about Twitter, you know, but I knew that like everybody was on it that was doing VTubing, so that sucked. I had to learn a whole new platform, but you know, it is what it is. And like I didn't even know that like you could get like a VTuber model done by someone, like commission it from somebody, an artist on YouTube. I'm sorry, YouTube, Twitter. Sorry. I guess you could probably find someone on YouTube. You know what I mean. Anyway, so like I definitely was like taken by surprise by all the things that were like coming at me as I was researching VTubing. I literally learned about it like a month before I debuted. That's how fast like things moved. That's what it felt like, at least. Maybe it was like 2 months, but it was really fast. And I based a lot of the things that I did off of like what I researched on indie VTubers, you know, small, medium, and even the large ones, and then also like Hololive, Nijisanji, all of like the big agencies and like their talents. I researched like what they were doing and what they did, and try to kind of like do the my poor man's version of it. You know what I mean? Like, and I think I as I continue doing that, I just realized like that can only get you so far, and like it's a good foundation, like it's a good like base to create for yourself as a creator, to see what other creators are doing. But at the end of the day, if you keep doing what everybody else is doing, it's hard to come out with like something that makes you unique and like makes you stand out, and as a creator, as a person, you know. And at the end of the day, you should create a community that supports you and not supports something else, you know, something that you were just projecting, you know what I mean? So yeah, there you go. there you go. Yeah. It's so nice. Sorry. Okay. So that's pretty much the end of the song. I mean, there's like the text at the bottom, but that's not the lyrics. That's just my message to chat during the 1 year. Let me continue. So this goes into the next song. I don't know if I ever went over this, but you might be able to hear it. Probably not, but you might if you listen hard enough. The piano keys that are used in Lonely But Not Alone are the same ones from Content, which I think most people might have caught on already, but in case you didn't, that's a thing. So I'm gonna close chat now. Sorry, I should have done that earlier. But yeah, you're gonna hear kind of like the transition from Content to Lonely But Not Alone. And if you listen hard enough, you'll see that it's the same piano chords, just like slowed down. So yeah. The money, the energy, yeah, I got all that. Okay, man, this song is like so much. I don't know, like it's hard because like I'm like looking back on all this and like again, it's been like 2 months, right? So it's been a hot minute, but it's definitely really nice to like look back and be like, "Ah, shit. Here we go again." Oh, but yeah, sorry, I'm taking off my sweater. But yeah, like it's these two lines are basically saying like it's literally it's pretty literal. Like I spent a lot of time, energy, effort in a lot of the so-called like friendships that I had made in VTubing. And it sucked because like, and this isn't the case for all of them. I don't want to make it seem like everybody's a piece of shit or anything like that, but like for most of the so-called friendships that I made, it was not good. um and it's quite literal what I mean by none of this time I can get back. There were several like so-called friendships that I had where I would try really hard to not just be like, maybe active on their streams or, on their socials, but also like behind the scenes, like try to, chat with them, check in on them, collaborate with them. And, it was tough because as time continued, I I have this like system, and this might sound very strange, but it's kind of like needed for my sanity. But I have this system where I give a person three chances, and there are three chances on three separate occasions. And it maybe chances isn't the right word, but like almost like three strikes. So like I'm not how do I explain it? But like I will, if something makes me uncomfortable, if there's like a red flag, that'll count as like a strike. And obviously it has to be directed at me. I'm not going to say like, oh, it's like they're just talking shit about somebody else, like, like that's them talking about somebody else. But if they're actually directing something at me that I feel like makes me uncomfortable or I don't agree with, then that's kind of like a strike. And I just want to make it clear, it's okay to not agree with what someone's doing. It doesn't make you a bad person. It just might be that your personalities clash or like that your beliefs are different, and that's okay. you know um so I would give people like kind of like three different moments where once they get to like the second one, I'm like, okay, is this a bad day or is this multiple bad days? I don't know. But by the third time, I'm like, oh no, this is not just a bad day. They are this kind of person that are very negative or they're just toxic and I should not keep them in my life. A lot of the times it goes past three because I'm just like kind of a pushover with myself. Like I want to like genuinely believe that people are good, but like a lot of times that's just not what happens, unfortunately. Um, but like in case anybody ever like has issues, I recommend kind of like that three tally system. Like on three different occasions, did they do something that like really messed you up or like, bothered you? Then maybe you might not want to hold them that close, especially if it's something that like you maybe brought up to them and they just like pushed to the side or like didn't really address it. Then yeah, you know and I'm not saying like you can't be friends with them, but maybe it's just like, I guess it depends on the severity of like the three things that happened. But like maybe it's more so you just be careful with like your trust, because I feel like I trusted some people and it just went to shit. And I like, it sucks because there were several like so-called friendships that I had that I thought they were good people, and then I found out that like they really just were not, or they had very selfish intentions. And it was hard for me to upkeep that so-called friendship because I realized that they did not actually care to have what I define as a friendship. And again, everybody's like definition of friendship is different, and I know that, but I think it's good to know what your definition is and potentially what their definition is, because then you can just be a better friend to them. They can be a better friend to you. But if it doesn't match, then hey, maybe it's just not meant to be. Also, just the term friend in the VTuber community is something that's like so weird. Like as I mentioned before, I don't like those. Or not that I don't. Well, I just don't really agree with like the very obvious like engagement posts baiting that bait engagement, and like the whole like summoning VTuber friends circle and stuff. I don't know, they don't all sound like that, but I'm just saying, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing if you do these things, but it's just kind of like when you I see a lot of like indie VTubers that are actually like pretty, they're definitely bigger than me. I would say maybe they're like medium to big, and they're doing these kind of posts, and it's just like it really just rubs me the wrong way, because it's like why do you feel the need to continue to bait engagements? Like, are you not able to function without like doing that? I don't know. And then again, it's like they ask for friends, but it's like, what does that mean? What does what do you do? Do you just like DM them and like have one conversation and call that, oh yeah, we're friends now? I don't know. It's really strange. I think that whole like looking for friends culture is kind of like, it can be a little bit skewed. I'm not saying it's impossible to find friends within VTubing, obviously. I just think it's like that might not be the best way to go about it, because like, are you really looking for a friend? Are they really looking for a friend? Like, how genuine is it if you're like just kind of like baiting engagements? Anyway. Took off the mask, showing true colors. Didn't think the hate could get any uglier. So, took off the mask, showing your true colors. It goes along with what I said with like, I really thought that some of the people that I had interacted with previously were like good people. And I don't doubt that like deep down that they are good people. It's just like they're not people that I can continue to like put a lot of time and effort in like engaging with, or trying to be friends with, because like I realize that they don't care about like me, and so like I shouldn't feel the need to put my care into them if I can tell they don't care about me. um and like that's okay. You know what I mean? It is what it is. And yeah, it definitely just sucks though, because it's like the lines here, didn't think the hate could get any uglier, is very much like I think the worst kind of like hate that you can get. Like obviously we get a lot of like trolls and hate online, like for example, you get some nasty comments on your YouTube video, or like somebody DMs you that your voice sucks or something like that. Like there's that kind of hate, but there's like, I think the hate that can really like keep you up at night is like people that you thought were friends, or going to be your friend, or like were kind of close to you. Um sorry. Okay. And I think like getting that kind of like almost like betrayal can feel even worse than like the kind of negative comments that you can get from strangers online, because it's like someone that you like trusted, and it sucks. Anyway. Ah. Fake friends playing pretend in a big shiny castle. Nothing else matters, no. I think these lines are pretty self-explanatory, but it's basically just saying like, feel it like just making it seem like everything's perfect and all right, and like just okay with like I've also seen a lot of people who just assume that we're like friends. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's like then they start treating me differently and like with less almost like respect. I don't know how to explain it, but they just would treat me differently, and it's in a way that that I wasn't comfortable with. You know what I mean? And I think like those lines about like being in their shiny castle, like everything's perfect, everything's fine, like they don't see that what their actions could be a problem. And like I don't know, like I had mentioned before, there's just like some people that I think are like either stupid or unaware or stupidly unaware, and like I can't blame them for that, and I don't want to hate on them for that. At the end of the day, it's like I can't change you, only you can change you. I respect that. I'm gonna be in my corner, you can be in your corner. But it definitely like sucks, because like people seem to like the nothing else matters kind of line, and and there's just a song in general is like I think people have a tough time self-reflecting, and I don't think that's it's not a bad thing if you have a tough time doing that, but it's hard, so hard to grow as a person, and not just a person but as like a creator, because you need to be able to reflect on your content and who you are, so that way you can make content that you enjoy, your audience enjoys. But like you have to be able to self-reflect, and it sucks because I think a lot of people don't have it in them to consider that maybe they're doing something wrong in like in not just like in a content space, but just like also just relationship based, like friendships, whatever. It's like I think a lot of people are very quick to tell their side of the story and not care about the other side, and consider the other feelings because they're so focused on theirs. But it's like maybe we need to start thinking about like, why did this happen? Well, why did I do these things that I did? Why did we get to this point? You know what I mean? And I think people lack it in them to give themselves time to ask themselves those questions, to think about like their own self-worth, self-growth. And I hate to say it, but like the VTuber community is very prominent, which is very insecure people. And it's okay to be insecure. We're all insecure about one thing or another, but like you're never going to be able to grow, not necessarily you grow out of an insecurity. Obviously, it's something that could always be there. But you're never going to be able to like feel better about it, or to potentially grow, to improve yourself, so that way that insecurity doesn't feel as much of a like stain anymore. You know what I mean? And yeah, I don't know. I just it's a really strange place. A lot of people are very insecure about their streams and themselves, and I think that's fine. I get like that sometimes too. I'm not exempt from that, but it becomes an issue when you start projecting that onto other people, and being rude or disrespectful to people because you're not comfortable with what you're doing. And a lot of people, again, are just unaware that they're even doing it, and they're unaware because they're not thinking of, like, no one can think about just their own actions and self-reflecting like, well, why am I feeling this way? Why am I acting this way? Why is it that this person doesn't want to talk to me anymore? It's like, well, gee, I wonder why. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I don't fault anyone for not being able to think about these things. So I know it's hard. It's not something that you're like necessarily taught. Like your parents don't teach you need to like self-reflect every day or whatever. You need to grow as a person. In order to do that, you need to self-reflect. Like it's so easy for me to say you need to self-reflect, but what does that actually mean? It means something different for everybody. So yeah, it is what it is. But it definitely really sucked going through the motions of like trying to make friends while I was busy with like personal life, work life, VTubing life, and then for them to like just backstab me in certain ways was very disheartening. So okay.
Fake friends, sparkles like gems, but when the temperature's cold, everything shatters.
So this part, again, very self-explanatory, but I just kind of wanted to express like, oh, friends look so like the term friends, and like the idea that comes to your mind when you think of friends is like good. It's usually like a positive thing, like, oh, it's so nice and shiny, the prospect of having friends. But as the song entails, like, but when things get hard, when there is like a problem with whatever communication, with morals, with beliefs, whatever, like when there is a problem, it's so hard for people to communicate and like come together and be like, hey, I wasn't comfortable with that, here's why. And I don't mean to offend you by saying that I wasn't uncomfortable, but like, how can we move forward from this? And like, I think a lot of people lack it in them to not just like fess up to, hey, I'm sorry I did that, I like, like not necessarily come up with excuse, but to be responsible for your own actions. And also to be able to have it in them to move forward. I think a lot of people like that I came across just did not care to move forward. it was kind of like the problem, I think. It's like, well, here's the problem. I'll let you kind of know what the problem is. Do you want to talk about it? No, they don't want to talk about it. Like they I literally have like addressed things very nicely like to certain people before, and I like some of the responses were like literally nothing. Like it was just like a okay. Like like that's just kind of like what the response was. It was just like I'd write something out and it was just like okay, then I'm like all right. You know what I mean? So it's very like very it's very tough. I think people it, it's hard to have it in you to like care enough to like want to move forward in a friendship. Like one of the experiences I had was that like I there was a person that I had talked to like almost every weekend. Not like on the phone, but like over like messages or whatever. And like I thought we were cool, and but they would always come with me with these personal issues that I would try to help with, like listen to, give a little bit of advice, listen to mostly, and then it was like every freaking weekend it was the same issue over and over and over again. And it was getting to the point where it's like, man, I don't know what you want me to do. Like obviously it's like I'm here to listen, but it's like, how many times do you expect me to listen to the same recording? You know what I mean? It's like I can't, I don't know what to do anymore. And they didn't ask me about how I was doing. Like, and during that time I was going through a lot of stuff, just like not just personally, but like with VTubing and stuff. And I think they knew that. I'm pretty sure they did. But they never asked me about it. They never cared to check in. And like that's okay, whatever, But I think it just got a little bit frustrating. I got to the point where it's like, like I kind of had to give them, like tough love almost. And they had talked about how basically I don't want to get into the details too much, but they had talked about this particular example. There's many other examples, but this particular example they had talked about like, how to explain this? They told me that they're they were looking for how do I explain this? They were looking for friends, and them and their partner were looking for friends, and they went onto a strange site to look for friends, quote unquote, and they saw this post about this person who was looking for friends. So they, both of them, the partner and the so-called friend I had, contacted this person who was so-called searching for friends. And I guess this person who was searching for friends only responded to their partner, and that really made them upset because it was like, well, why did you just respond to my partner and not me if you were looking for friends? And I realized that what it really was about was I saw right through it. It was very clear to me that it was not a post about finding friends. It was a post about basically being added to a relationship. So polygamy. And I'm not here to talk about polygamy. I'm just here to address the story. I don't care what anyone does with their life. You guys just be happy. That's all I care about. But the thing with like this situation was that every weekend they were complaining to me about their partner, and both of them were not in a good space. And I had told them, and honestly, this is kind of one of the best advice that I could give at that point, which was, you guys need to go see a therapist. Like I can't, I'm not a professional, unfortunately. And it was at the point where it's like, you guys need to get counseling, because a professional counseling, because I can't, I'm not that, I'm not professional, and I don't want to lead you guys down the wrong path by giving bad advice, And it was just very awful because it was very clear to me when they told me this story that, again, they were looking for someone to add to their relationship. And their relationship was off the rails, y'all. It was not good. It was not healthy. And I was like, listen, homie, ex-homie, like, I literally, when I give serious advice, I try to do voice messages because I don't like text where like you can't like tell how a person's saying things, so like I wanted to make sure that it was clear that like I was trying to say these things to be helpful and not to like put them down. So I recorded a voice message and basically said like, listen, you can't go and add somebody to your pre-existing relationship because it is not healthy. And it's kind of like a divorced couple adding a child. Like the child doesn't fix anything. And if anything, you unfortunately you run the risk of traumatizing the child, from a bad marriage or relationship. And like that's kind of like what I related it to. Like, you guys need to figure out your own relationship, and once that's healthy, once that's happy and healthy, I don't see any problem with bringing somebody else into your relationship. Fine, you do what you want, but you shouldn't bring in somebody to your relationship to fix your relationship. You should bring in somebody to make your relationship grow or better. That's, at least, again, polygamy is not something I'm going to get into. I whatever, but like that's them, and that's what I assume is what's up with polygamy. Is what I assume. This is my assumption. So I tried to explain that to them, and they didn't respond for a while. And then when they did respond, they were just kind of like, "Oh, thanks. You're a good friend." And like I could tell they did not listen to my message. And I'm like, "Okay. Well, it's okay. Like, I'm not going to force anyone to listen to my message." It was a long message. Like I totally get it. But it was very clear to me that like they just did not they didn't care. And like if they were so hell-bent on looking for friends, I don't see why they were treating me, who was supposed to be their so-called friend at the time, so poorly. And like I only made that voice message for them because I genuinely cared. I think it's easy to be like, "Oh, they're attacking me for my decisions." But it's like, are they attacking you, or do they care that much about you that like they're telling you what's up? They're just being real. They're just being honest. They're just being straight with you. And sometimes it's not what you like to hear, but it might be what you need to hear. And it's up to you whether or not you want to accept it. And a lot of people don't want to accept it, is what I have learned. That's what I've come to the conclusion. A lot of people, and I get it. It sucks to hear shit that you just can't agree with, but you need to think about other perspectives. That's just kind of how you grow, right? So anyway, that's a long-winded story, but yeah, I think that was one of the things that I thought about as I wrote this song. There was a lot of other things, like other stories plenty of other stories that I thought of as I was writing this song, but that was one of the things that was very like such a strange situation to be in. Like looking back, it's just so weird. Anyway, let me continue.
I think it's time to focus on me. As much as it hurts me to say.
Okay, so this line, it's it really did suck, because like I went through this period where like I was trying to like befriend people and like trying to be like, oh heck yeah, community. And it sucked because I realized that not that it like I don't want to make it seem like how do you explain this? Excuse me, I burped. It just dawned on me that like I was putting in all this effort, and like I was not getting anywhere with like friendships, with VTubing, with anything, with my own personal growth. And if anything, it stressed me out more. So it's like I just need to focus on myself. And it sucks to say that, because like I was really hoping to be able to find people to at least collaborate with on stream. You know what I mean? And I couldn't. And it was really sad. I don't know. It really sucked to have to go through that phase of like realizing I can't do this anymore. I can't try to befriend people anymore because it just doesn't fucking work. I think coming to that realization is a really sad thing, and it makes you feel like very lonely. Hence the name, Lonely But Not Alone. Because I did have people around me, but I felt very lonely. I did feel like I had people that, I don't know, I just didn't feel like I had people that I could actually genuinely talk to in like a safe space, if that makes any sense.
'Cause I'm so gone.
I guess the whole because our so-called friendship wasn't free. I think like really what I was kind of trying to express with this was like that like I had expended a lot of like time, energy, and effort and whatnot into trying to like be a good friend or what I thought was a good friend, and it's it took a lot out of me, like personally as well, like just like mentally I think too, and like emotionally. It takes a lot out of you when you have to deal with like different kinds of personalities, and especially personalities that may not care about you. It's very taxing. It's very tiring, and it takes a toll on you and your mental health and whatnot. And it takes it, and during that time, it felt like it took me away from the things that were making me happy, which I think sounds kind of like an asshole thing to say, but like in this context of like bad friendships, it sucks when like you put in that time, energy, and effort into something that is toxic, and you think about like later on, you reflect on it, you're like, man, if I wasn't dealing with like this really toxic relationship, I could have been doing something that actually made me happy. And I think that's kind of like where I felt like I had to pay in a sense. Like I paid for having for dealing with that person in a sense. I don't know if that makes any I don't know if I communicated that very well, but yeah.
I mean, no disrespect, no shade. Can't seem to get away from the.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just laughing because like, when I say like I can't seem to get away from like the crazy people, it's just I think it's funny. Not that like again, there are a lot of really great people in this community. I'm not trying to put anybody down, but like the couple of like bad eggs that I've come across, it's just so funny. I seem to like honestly like it's not just this community. Like also like for example in like my cosplay community, I have very much attracted some very interesting personalities and people, and it's like I don't know how. I don't know, some like really weird things happen to me and I don't know why. I don't know how or why I attract this kind of stuff. Like a funny example is like I played this one game, and like like in this game you had like guilds, right? And like I joined this one, and this person, the guild leader was like, I thought she was like cool, and then it was like as I kept playing the game and like just like interacting with not just her but the other people in the guild, like they also had like a Discord, so I joined like the group, and basically it just got really fucking weird because she was just like flirting with everybody because she wanted attention, and then like she like again, this is a funny story, she like tried to like sext a lot of like people, and like including me, which was the weirdest thing ever. I did not know like how to deal, because like I just did not see her that way, it was just like this is just somebody that I play the game with, so like I was just like, why are you talking to me like this? It's really weird. And so I'm just kind of like, okay, cool, and like trying to move past it, and she actually fucking sent me her nudes, and I was like, what's happening? What is happening? I never asked for this. I don't know what to do. And like not just me, she sent other people like her nudes as well. And I'm just like, I don't understand. It was just so weird. Anyways, that's a funny example that had happened. I didn't know what to do in that situation. It was just like, how did I attract this to me? How did this happen? I don't know. I was just trying to play a game. I honestly was just trying to play a game. And it happened. I was just like, what? I don't really play games that have guilds anymore, because every time I just had such a weird experience. Like the time before that, there was like this other guild that I was a part of like a really long time ago. And like, oh wait, which story is this? Actually, well, it wasn't the time before that, but this is like a completely different story. But there was like this one guild I joined, and like there was there was a guy there that was like trying to hit on me, even though I knew that like his girlfriend was like in the chat, like was there in the guild, and he was like trying to like flirt with me, and like it was and it was just weird. Just like, what? Why is this happening? I did not want anything to do with that. I just want to play the goddamn game. It's the weirdest shit, man. I don't know. I don't know. And those are just funny examples. But aside from that, I think me saying like, I mean, no disrespect, no shade, can't seem to get away from these fake friends. It really is like I at the end of the day, like I know I tell these stories, I talk about these events that have happened to me, and you know, I feel bad often when I talk about it because like I don't want to make it seem like I don't know. I don't want to make it seem like I want like I hate them and they're fucking awful fucking people. It's like I don't know. You know, at the end of the day, like we're all hiding behind our screens. Like I don't know like if they're a bad person. I'm not the person to make that judgment call. So I genuinely mean it when I say like I don't want to like it's not my intention to like necessarily disrespect people. It's just kind of like these are my experiences and like I just want to talk about it and like I'm never going to name names. I just wanted to talk about my experience so that way maybe people can relate with me, people can learn maybe or see how I dealt with the situation in case they're in a similar situation. You know, cuz it's not fun being in these situations. So yeah, that's kind of like I feel bad sometimes though because like I don't want to make it seem like I'm trying to like if none of these people that I have ever talked about by the way will ever be on the stream I don't think or like hear it at least, but like in the event that they do, like at the end of the day I want nothing but for them to be happy regardless of like however they wronged me or anyone else. I don't give a shit. I moved on. I hope they can move on and like live a happy life and do whatever the fuck they want. As long as they're far away from me though. I don't want anything to do with it. So that's like the only thing. Pretty much is how I feel about that. Oh, so this is just the chorus again. Obviously, duh. I wrote the song. You think I know, you know?
Nothing else matters, no. Fake friends, sparkles like gems. But when the temperature's cold, everything shatters.
Something I wanted to mention was that like, oh my god, recording this song was like so tough. I think like because the song is so focused on like the vocals, it was very difficult because like I know that maybe you can't tell, but like there's a lot of layers. Lots of layers, like onion, Shrek. Sorry. There's a lot of layers to the chorus and it's kind of cool though because if you listen to like just one like if you listen to it individually without all of them on top of each other layered, each recording that I had kind of elicits like a different feeling. Like it's still like sad, don't get me wrong, but like it just sounds very different from each other. I don't know how to explain it. You just kind of have to hear it, but yeah, as I was like mixing and mastering everything, all the vocals, it was very interesting to like listen to how I was like, wow, like what if I just use this that was supposed to be harmony? What if I use this harmony as a melody? Obviously, I didn't do that, but it was really cool to like hear how it all not just like blended together, but also like individually how it sounded because it definitely like was different. Anyway, I don't know if that makes any sense. If I get a chance, I will try to show you guys what I mean, but yeah, there's like a lot of fucking layers though, and it took a lot of time to record and mix and master. Cries. Anyway, moving on.
Thank you for helping me grow, even though you're not around anymore.
Sorry, you can't see the anymore. my big ol' head's in the way. So thank you for letting me or something grow. I'm so professional. Even though you're not around anymore. It's pretty straightforward lyrics. You know, I did grow a lot from the experiences I had with the so-called bad eggs. And at the end of the day, like I said, you know, even if they're not around. Uh, you know, I learned from that experience, and it sucks that like people that I thought were that would be like my friend aren't here. Um, but I think that's for the best, obviously, because like we did not mesh well together, So it is what it is. But I know that like I learned from the experience, and if anything, like that's all that that I should take away from it is the positives, which is that I learned and that I grew, and that like I will try to not let that happen to me again, and I won't, and most of all, I won't treat somebody else like that. I can't tell you how many times I see people just like complain about being treated a certain way, but then treat people the same exact way that they don't like to be treated. And I'm like, hey man, that's kind of weird. Like, why would you do that? So yeah, I think that's again, take away the positives, which is that let's learn from it, and not act like a maniac to other people. Anyway,
I hope you find those friends you're looking for.
funnily enough, I think that very much can relate to the story I mentioned earlier, which is about that person who was hell bent on looking for a so-called friend when we all know that it wasn't a friend. It was someone that would add to their relationship. We respect it, whatever. But it's funny because I think that really does like relate to that story, but it also relates to all the other stories as well. Like I hope that they find what they're looking for. I hope that they can find something that makes them happy, just like in their corner. And like not with me, and leave me alone, because like we're not cool. So yeah, I don't know. I think what I hope for the people that I feel like were toxic relationships, friendships, for me, I hope that they can find somebody, whether that be a friend or a partner. I hope that they can find somebody that treats them how they want to be treated, and hopefully, best case scenario, that can teach them, better ways of handling people or befriending people. Because like I want to believe that everybody is capable of change. I just think that people are too scared to do it sometimes, and I just want to believe that people can do it, and I hope that they can find some way, some catalyst to be able to change or to be able to self-reflect. So, some people self-reflect and they still decide that like they are a better person, or that they are like not an asshole, and that's fine. At least you tried. But maybe you just can't befriend people that don't think the way that you do. Maybe that's just how that goes down. I don't know. But it is what it is. I hope that people can find that support to help them change, or to help them grow, and make them happy. So
But it ain't me. No, it can't be me.
funny note, when I was mixing, or when I was mastering the me, when I don't know if you can, I don't want to make it sound like it's not happening anymore, but like when I first mixed it, I was like, it sounded like a train. And I don't know how to explain. It's not like a choo choo, obviously, but it was like a distant train. I don't know if you guys could see where I'm coming from, but like you definitely can't hear it anymore. But before it was like I don't know why, but it sounded like a fucking train. It sounded like a train. I was like, ah, ah. So I had to like do a lot of other shits, that way it didn't sound as much like that, and it sounds better. But now that I pointed it out, I'm sure you can hear it. But it's just funny because like I just like at first I was like, was this really happening? And then I was like, yeah, this is really happening.
No, it can't be me.
Yeah. So anyway, that's a thing.
Friends, playing pretend.
I guess fun fact, I sang, I don't know if you probably can't, well, you can probably tell with the last one, but I sang each chorus, like, I think you would imagine, like, for example, the VTuber Christmas song, I pretty much like copy and pasted the choruses. So they all sound about the same, or they sound about they sound the same. They are copy and pasted, so that way they are exactly the same. I don't know why I can't just say that. So anyway, but for this song, for pretty much like all of the songs that I do just with me on it, which is all that I've done so far. Other than that, I like sing each chorus like separately. I don't just copy and paste the chorus. I think maybe only like Isekai might be the song that like I did copy and paste a little bit, but it wasn't the whole thing. I know that. Um but yeah, I you can't tell probably. But like yeah, each one is like actually saying separately, and I just think it sounds more dynamic that way. I don't know. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with just copy and pasting the chorus, cuz obviously I've done it before, but like it's just nice cuz it's like it just sounds a little bit different, and it just makes it feel a little bit more like whole and like texture. I don't know how to explain it, but like as I've been going through like this process of like music production and whatnot, like I think a lot of it has to do with like creating texture, and like I don't really know how else to explain that, but just making it feel more like less like a almost like less like a song and more like a actual like event, like an actual experience. I don't know how else to explain that. Yeah, because you'll see like nowadays in music, every song has like this ambient noise, like backtrack noise to it. Um, it's just like in every fucking song now, and it's like we've listened to it so much, and that like our ears are so attuned to it that like it sounds weird when there isn't something like that in the background. Anyway, fun fact. So yeah, it's just kind of interesting because it's just like I think we just need texture in our songs now, which is it's cool, you know. Anyway, you can I don't know if you can hear it as well, but like in the background of here, you can hear the guitar plucks from Content. I don't know if you can hear it. I don't know if you can hear it there. It's like right before it's during it while I'm saying fake friends, it's playing in the background, but those are the same guitar plucks from the first song. Anyway. And like I said, the piano chords are the same as Content as well. Anyway, that's the song. Closing remarks on the song. Plural. I would say I think this was a really cool project to do because I just learned a lot, and again, like I grew from the experiences that I had. And I don't know, it's really nice to be able to look back on these songs, especially after like the kind of like revelations I've had since releasing these songs. So yeah. And I'm glad that it all happened. I think it was this song Lonely But Not Alone as well was like a huge it was a huge like how do you say I really went out of my shell with this one because like I think with like usually I don't know about y'all, but it's like very it's very nerve-wracking to put out music, like original music that like it's your fucking voice because like obviously most people don't like to listen to their voice, and I'm also one of those people. I don't really like to listen to my voice back all the time. Especially singing. So like it can get a little bit like I don't like this. Like that's why like I think for again like my first single, which was LOL, was like all fucking rap because it was like I was so like nervous to put my voice out there. So Lonely But Not Alone is like a huge song for me because like it's very focused on like my voice, which is a lot different than like the other songs. Like I'm not saying that like the other songs aren't focused on my voice. Like obviously my voice is there, but as I was making them, I was kind of like not about my like I was like turning up like other shit in the songs so that way like you know my voice was a little bit more muffled or like you know like anyway this song was like this is about my voice, so I think that's like something that is really important to me about Lonely But Not Alone is that this was like the first time, at least that it felt like to me, that like I was really getting my voice out there for people to listen to. And it was really scary, but I'm glad I did it because again, like after the album, I felt like I lost my voice. I felt like I couldn't do music anymore, and yeah, there's a very long period of time, and I don't even think now I've done any karaoke streams. I haven't done I haven't done anything that has to do with like singing on stream. Uh because I felt like after I dropped the album and because of like the backlash that I had gotten and just like the a bunch of other shit that happened, that like I lost my voice, that I didn't want to sing anymore, that I didn't want to do anything musically. So these two songs again are I hold very close to my heart because it's not just about, you know, me being happy with like my content and stuff like that. But even though Lonely But Not Alone is a sad song, and it's about some sad, disappointing experiences that I had, it's also just like a very good representation of like the confidence that I had built in myself after some really tough events had happened. So anyway, that's the song. Thank you for listening. Yay! Yay!